The stars stretched endlessly across the dark space around the ship Helios Dawn. Inside the control room, lights blinked in calm rhythm. The hum of the engines was steady, soft, and almost comforting. Among the crew, one man was busy at the center console. His name was Ryan Hale, an engineer and signal specialist. His job was to study strange transmissions from unknown parts of the galaxy. For weeks, the ship had traveled near the moon Lorenine, a quiet, icy satellite orbiting a dead planet. Most of the crew believed it was lifeless. The planet below had no sign of cities, machines, or voices. Only frozen plains and dark mountains. Yet, the sensors had picked up something unusual or deep. Repeating pulse hidden in the static, Ryan stared at the wave pattern again. The signal was steady, not random. It rose and fell like a heartbeat. It was too slow for machine code and too rhythmic for a natural sound. He increased the volume through the speakers. The room filled with a deep vibration that almost sounded alive. Captain Tomas, standing behind him, crossed his arms. "Still, that strange signal, Ryan?" Ryan nodded slowly. "Yes, Captain. It is not fading. In fact, it is growing stronger. The source seems to be under the surface of Lorenine, about 40 kilometers from the southern pole." The captain frowned. "Could be an old colony beacon. Or maybe some alien probe." "No, sir. This frequency has biological patterns. It feels more like something breathing." The captain gave him a hard look. "Breathing? That moon is ice and rock. Nothing lives down there." "Maybe," Ryan said quietly. "But this signal is not random. It is calling." Captain sighed. "You always think like a scientist. Fine. Take the scout ship and check it out. Stay in contact. If it looks dangerous, you come back immediately." Ryan smiled slightly. "Understood, sir." Within an hour, he had packed his gear, thermal suit, scanner, and communicator. The small shuttle Vega 1 separated from Helios Dawn and began its descent toward Lorenine. Through the viewport, Ryan saw the moon's surface covered in thick layers of frost. It looked peaceful from above, but the readings on his monitor told a different story. The signal was growing louder as he neared the ground. The shuttle landed on a wide plain surrounded by low cliffs. The air outside shimmered faintly under the pale light of the nearby planet. He opened the hatch, stepped down, and felt the snow crunch under his boots. The air was thin, but breathable. His breath came out as mist in the freezing cold. He turned on his handheld scanner. The signal arrow pointed north. It pulsed like a slow drumbeat, leading him toward a ridge. As he walked, the silence of Lorenine surrounded him. There was no wind, no sound of moving ice. Only the faint hum of his suit's systems. After an hour of walking, he reached the ridge. Beyond it stretched a wide valley filled with strange stone pillars. Some were cracked and broken, others carved with symbols that glowed faintly blue. He stepped closer and wiped the frost from one of them. The markings looked like wolves howling beside tall human shapes. Ryan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. He raised his scanner again. The signal was loud now, right beneath his feet. He knelt and brushed away snow, revealing a metal plate buried in the ground. It was ancient, rusted, and shaped like a door. He adjusted his wrist lamp and searched for a control panel. Nothing. Then the plate trembled slightly. A faint sound filled the air, low and distant. It was not static or machine noise. It was a howl. Ryan froze. The sound echoed through the valley, rising and falling like the cry of some great beast. He looked around quickly, but the valley was empty. The sound faded, leaving only silence. He took a deep breath and activated his helmet recorder. "This is Ryan Hale, surface of Lorenine. I found the source area of the signal. It may be a buried structure. I also heard something like an animal call. Investigating further." He tapped the door with his gloved hand. It was cold and solid, but a small crack ran along its edge. He pressed his scanner against it. Energy readings flashed across the display. Whatever was below was still active. He looked up at the cliffs again. The carvings of wolves seemed to stare at him. Ryan decided to set up a temporary camp. He placed signal markers and connected his scanner to the portable transmitter. As he worked, he kept feeling that he was being watched. Once he turned quickly, certain he saw movement near a pillar. But when he shone his lamp there, nothing moved. Only his footprints broke the smooth layer of snow. Hours passed. The light dimmed as the planet's shadow covered the moon. The sky turned deep blue, and the stars appeared sharper. Ryan sat beside a small heater, eating a ration bar. When the signal changed again, it became louder, rhythmic, like a chant. His scanner flickered with strange symbols he could not decode. He stood up and turned toward the sound. It was not coming from the buried door anymore. It was coming from the cliffs. From the darkness between the stone pillars. He raised his light. The beam caught a shape tall, lean, moving on two legs but with the motion of an animal. Ryan froze. The shape stepped closer. He could see fur, pale and silver under the moonlight. It stopped a few meters away. Two glowing eyes looked straight at him. He tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. The creature tilted its head slightly as if studying him. Then it let out a low growl that rolled through the cold air. Ryan took a step back. The creature lunged forward. He stumbled and fell, the scanner slipping from his hand. The creature stopped just above him, its breath visible in the cold. For a moment, it seemed about to strike. But then, as if sensing something, it backed away. Its eyes still fixed on him, it turned and disappeared into the shadows. Ryan sat up, heart pounding. He grabbed his scanner and quickly recorded a note. First contact with unknown lifeform. Bipedal, covered in fur, glowing eyes. Possible predator, but no attack after initial approach. Intelligent behavior suspected. He looked around again, but the valley was empty. He decided not to chase it. Instead, he returned to the door. The surface had changed. It was glowing faintly, just like the carvings. He could feel warmth from it now. The howl returned, softer this time, almost musical. Ryan placed his palm on the metal. The glow grew brighter. His scanner beeped rapidly. Energy was flowing beneath him. A circle of light formed around the door, and slowly, the ground began to shift. The plate opened downward, revealing a narrow stairway leading into the darkness below. He hesitated for a long moment. His training told him to call the captain. His curiosity told him to go down. He looked up at the sky where Helios dawn orbited silently, then turned on his wrist light and started descending the steps. The air inside was warmer. The walls were smooth, carved with more of the glowing symbols. The staircase led into a wide chamber filled with strange crystal structures. In the center stood a large stone table with what looked like two figures lying side by side. They were not statues. They were encased in transparent crystal. Ryan moved closer. The two figures were female, with human-like faces, but wolf-like ears and markings along their skin. Their eyes were closed as if sleeping. The scanner in his hand showed faint life signs. He felt a wave of disbelief. "They are alive," he whispered. "Frozen, but alive." He examined the symbols around the table. One looked like a star, another like a human hand. The third showed two wolves howling at a single moon. He touched the last symbol. The ground vibrated. The crystals pulsed with light. The air filled with a soft hum that grew into a familiar rhythm, the heartbeat signal. The chamber filled with golden light. Ryan shielded his eyes. When the light faded, he looked back at the table. The crystal was cracking. Both figures began to move. Ryan stumbled backward, his heart racing. The crystal shell broke apart in pieces. The two women opened their eyes. They were glowing silver, just like the creatures. One of them rose first. Her movements were slow but graceful. The other followed, sharper, more alert. Ryan took a careful step back. They both looked at him. For a long moment there was silence. Then the taller one spoke in a calm, deep voice. "Human." The word echoed through the chamber, heavy and cold. Ryan stared at her in shock. They could speak. The second one stepped closer, her gaze fierce. "Why are you here?" "I am." "An explorer," Ryan said carefully. I followed a signal. I did not mean to disturb you. The calmer one placed a hand on her sister's arm. Wait, Mira. She turned back to Ryan. I am Aaron. This is my sister. You came because you heard our call. Ryan's mind raced. Your call? The signal. Aaron nodded. Yes, we sent it long ago, hoping it would reach the stars. We waited for someone to answer. We did not know it would be human again. Mira narrowed her eyes. Humans left us here to die. Ryan took a step back, raising his hands. I don't know what happened before, but I came to help, not harm. The chamber lights dimmed, leaving only the glow of their eyes. Aaron's voice softened. Then perhaps the moon has given us a second chance. Ryan felt the air grow warmer. Somewhere above he heard another faint howl rising from the surface. It was joined by another, lower and stronger. The two sounds twisted together across the frozen land. As if the moon itself was waking from a long sleep. The sisters looked toward the ceiling, their ears twitching at the sound. Aaron smiled faintly, while Mira's claws extended. Ryan watched them both, uncertain of what he had awakened. The silence that followed felt alive, filled with the heartbeat of the moon itself. The chamber lights pulsed with a soft glow that seemed to breathe with life. Ryan stood near the broken crystal table, his heart still racing after what he had witnessed. The two sisters, Aaron and Mira, watched him closely. Their movements were fluid and quiet, like shadows sliding through light. Aaron stepped forward first. Her eyes had a calm silver shine, and her expression held a strange gentleness. You are human, she said again, her tone softer this time. It has been long since we have seen one of your kind. Ryan nodded, trying to stay steady. Yes. I came from a ship in orbit. We detected your signal. Mira tilted her head, her sharp eyes narrowing. The signal was not meant for machines. It was meant for blood. Ern placed a hand on her sister's shoulder before Mira could speak again. She means life. We sent the call for living ears, not cold ones. The moon chose you to hear it. Ryan looked around the glowing chamber. The carvings on the walls looked ancient, yet the energy flowing through them felt alive. Why did you send it? Aaron's gaze turned distant. Because our people were lost. We once lived on this moon with humans long before your kind left this system. We shared knowledge, warmth, and hope. But war came. Fire fell from the sky. When it ended, the ground froze, and the bond was broken. Myra's claws tapped against the stone as she spoke in a sharper tone. The humans fled, leaving us to the cold. We slept here for ages, trapped between worlds. The moon kept us alive, but not free. Ryan could hear bitterness in her voice. He stepped closer, speaking carefully. Maybe not all humans knew what happened. Time changes everything. I came here only to study the signal, not to harm anyone. Mira crossed her arms. You walk on the graves of our people. Your machines watch our sky again. That is harm enough. Aaron's voice was calm but firm. Sister, let him speak. The moon would not have called him if he were our enemy. Ryan looked between them. Their bond was clear, though it was filled with tension. He decided to ask more about them. You said the moon kept you alive. How Aaron looked toward the glowing crystals. The moon's core is filled with light that touches both flesh and spirit. It gave us strength to survive the cold, but it changed us. We're no longer as we were. Ryan studied their forms. Their bodies were human-shaped, but their skin shimmered faintly under the light, and their eyes reflected the moon's glow. You mean your transformation? Mira smiled faintly, showing sharp teeth. Yes. We are Lore-born, not beast, not human. Something between. Ryan remembered the creature he saw earlier in the valley. I saw one of you before. It looked like a wolf walking upright. Mira gave a short laugh. You saw me? I was watching you from the shadows. I wanted to know if you were prey or danger. Ryan swallowed. Could have attacked. She stepped closer until she was only a few steps away. I almost did. Ern's voice broke the heavy silence. But she did not. That means something. Ryan turned to her. If your people once lived with humans, maybe we can find a way to reconnect. My ship's crew would want to learn, not fight. Mira snorted softly. Humans always say they want peace, then they take. Aaron gave her sister a warning look. Mira, stop. He speaks with truth in his heart. Ryan felt a strange warmth fill the air. The glow from the walls softened, and the heartbeat sound he had followed from space grew slower and steadier. He realized it was coming from the moon's energy itself. He lowered his scanner. Whatever this energy is, it reacts to emotion. When you speak calmly, the light changes. Aaron nodded. The moon listens to us. It feels balance and anger. That is how it chooses its guardians. Mira and I are the last of them. Ryan stared at them in awe. The last. Mira's voice turned low. There were many once. Our people lived across the valleys and peaks of Lorenine. When the war ended, we were forced to sleep in these chambers. The rest were lost to the storm. Aaron added softly, we remained here, bound to the moon's core, waiting for the world to awaken again. Ryan's thoughts were racing. He could not believe what he was hearing. 2 survivors of a species thought extinct, living in crystal stasis for centuries. It was a discovery that could change everything humanity knew about alien life. But as he looked into their glowing eyes, he felt that this was not just about science. It was about trust. A sudden vibration shook the chamber. The crystals flickered. Myra looked up sharply. Something has disturbed the outer gate. Ryan turned to his communicator. The signal was weak, but a voice crackled through. Ryan, this is Captain Tomas. We are detecting a strong energy spike near your location. Are you all right? He pressed the button. I'm fine, Captain. I found the source. It's not a machine. It's alive. 2 intelligent beings. They call themselves the Laura. Static filled the line for a moment, and the captain's voice returned, tense. Repeat that, Ryan. Did you say alive 2 beings? Yes, sir. They are peaceful so far. I recommend we avoid interference until I learn more. Before Tomas could reply, the signal died. The chamber lights dimmed again, and turned toward the stairway. Your metal voice disturbs the moon's heart. The energy here does not welcome cold signals. Ryan lowered his communicator. Then I'll stay offline for now. Mira crossed her arms again. Wise choice. Machines do not belong here. The vibration stopped. Silence returned, broken only by the soft hum of the glowing walls. Aaron looked thoughtful. You came because you followed a call, Ryan Hale. That means you carry something that connects you to this moon. Ryan frowned. What do you mean? She walked closer and placed her hand on his chest. Her touch was warm and a faint silver glow spread from her palm. The light rippled across his suit, then faded. His scanner beeped once, then went silent. Aaron stepped back. Your body holds a frequency like ours. It is faint, but it is there. Perhaps your ancestors once walked here long ago. Ryan tried to make sense of it. That is impossible. Humans never recorded any colony here.
Myra gave a low growl.
Records lie. History forgets. Aaron looked at her sister sadly. Maybe not lies, Mira. Maybe the truth was buried, just like us. Ryan's thoughts swirled. If that is true, then humans and Laura share a past. Aaron nodded.
Yes.
The moon remembers. That is why it called you. Mira turned away. The moon should have called me alone, not some human who wears metal and speaks to machines. Aaron sighed. You were too quick to judge, sister. Ryan could sense the growing tension between them. He tried to change the subject. He said you were the last of your kind. Are there more chambers like this one? Aaron's face grew distant. There were. Many of them fell into the ice long ago. If they still exist, they are silent now. Myra's tone was bitter. Even if they survived, they would not rise. They would not forgive what was done. Ryan stepped closer to her. Mira, I did not come here to take anything. I only want to understand. She looked at him sharply. Understanding will not bring back our people. Aaron touched her sister's arm gently, but it might stop more pain. The silence between them stretched. The air in the chamber felt heavy, filled with memories that none of them could see. Ryan looked toward the staircase. I can bring supplies for my shuttle, maybe food or heat sources. You could come to the surface with me. Myra gave a sharp laugh. The cold does not touch us. You should fear it, not us. Aaron smiled faintly. Still, the surface would be good to see again. Sky, the wind. We have slept too long. Mira looked doubtful, but said nothing. Ryan helped them gather a few things from the chamber, though there was little to carry. Together, they climbed the stairs back toward the surface. As they reached the open air, the light from the planet reflected off the frozen valley. The sky was a deep shade of blue, filled with stars. A soft wind whispered across the ice. Carrying a sound like distant voices, Arn looked around slowly, her eyes full of quiet wonder. It has not changed. Mira stood beside her, her sharp gaze scanning the horizon. No, still the same empty land. Ryan pointed toward the cliffs. That is where I landed. My shuttle is near the ridge. They began walking toward it. Their steps left shallow prints in the frost. The sisters moved gracefully, their feet barely making a sound. Ryan felt the strange heartbeat in his chest again, the same rhythm that had guided him here. It was stronger now. When they reached the shuttle, Ryan opened the hatch and turned on the interior lights. The warmth spilled out, and both sisters paused at the doorway. Mira sniffed the air suspiciously. It smells of iron and oil. Arn smiled gently. It is his den, sister. Let him show us. Ryan laughed softly. You can call it that, I suppose. He stepped inside and offered them seats. The sisters looked at the metal walls and blinking lights with curious eyes. Oren touched one of the control panels. So much has changed, yet your machines still shine like stars. Ryan nodded. Technology moved forward, but not everything changed for the better. Myra sat across from him, her claws tapping lightly on the floor. Do your people still fight among themselves? Ryan looked down for a moment. Sometimes. We try not to, but humans have not learned all their lessons. Myra's voice softened slightly. Then maybe you are not so different from us. Arn smiled. Perhaps that is why the moon called him. Outside, a low wind began to rise again. Ryan looked through the viewport and saw faint shapes moving among the cliffs. For a moment, he thought they were shadows. Then one of them howled a deep, haunting sound that echoed across the frozen valley. The night on Lorenine was alive with sound. The cold air carried the deep howls of unseen creatures rolling over the frozen valley like waves. Ryan stood near the shuttle's hatch, his breath visible in the dim light. Inside, Arn and Mira were alert, their glowing eyes fixed on the darkness beyond the cliffs. A faint red light blinked on Ryan's scanner. They are close, he said quietly. Mira crouched near the doorway, her hands ready, claws extended. Stay behind me, human. These are not like us. Oren placed a hand on her sister's shoulder. Wait, we do not know their intent. Mira's gaze hardened. You always wait. That is why we were trapped in stone for ages. Arn did not respond. Her calm eyes scanned the shadows. 3 shapes appeared on the ridge, moving on all fours before standing upright. Their fur shimmered under the pale light. They looked similar to the sisters, but their eyes burned with an orange glow instead of silver. Ryan took a step back. They look like you. Oren shook her head. They are not. They are the broken ones. Mira growled softly. I thought they were all gone. The 3 creatures stopped a short distance away. One of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward and let out a harsh growl that carried both anger and pain. Arn took a careful step toward him. We are not your enemies, she said calmly. We are the last guardians of the moon. You do not need to fight. The tall creature's voice came out rough and deep. Guardians, you abandoned us. You slept while we turned to beasts. Arn's face showed sorrow. We did not choose to sleep. The moon's core sealed us. Mira stood beside her sister, tense and ready. If you blame someone, blame the humans who started the war, not us. The creature let out a low snarl. Humans made the fire, but you carried their blood. You still do. His eyes shifted to Ryan, and now they return. They always return. Before anyone could speak, the creature lunged forward. Mira reacted instantly, blocking the strike with her forearm and pushing him back. The ground cracked under their strength. The other 2 creatures rushed toward them, and chaos filled the ridge. Ryan ducked behind a rock, shielding himself from flying shards of ice. Arn moved quickly, her movements graceful, but strong. She tried to stop the fight, calling out in the old language of their people. The creatures hesitated for a moment, but rage blinded them. Mira fought fiercely, her claws clashing with theirs in sparks of light. Ryan's mind raced. He could not just watch. He grabbed his frequency stabilizer from the shuttle, the same tool he used to control the signal earlier. He tuned it to the energy pattern of the moon and aimed it at the ground. The device hummed, releasing a low vibration that spread across the ice. The sound reached the combatants. Arryn felt it first, the pulse of the moon's energy washing over her. She stepped back, spreading her hands. The others froze mid-motion. The glow in their eyes dimmed slightly. Arryn's voice rose through the wind. "Stop this. The moon watches us. Do not bring more death to its light." The tall creature stumbled back, breathing heavily. His anger seemed to fade, replaced by confusion. "The moon still speaks through you." Arryn nodded. "Yes. It calls for peace." Mira wiped blood from her arm and growled softly. "Peace will not heal them. Look at what they have become." The tall one looked at her with pain in his eyes. "We became this because we had no choice. You had the light. We had the dark." Ren lowered her head. "Then let us bring balance again." The three creatures slowly retreated into the shadows, their howls fading as they disappeared among the cliffs. The silence that followed was heavy. Ryan turned off the stabilizer and walked toward the sisters. "Are you both all right?" Arryn nodded. Mira said nothing. She was staring at the place where the creatures vanished. Her claws were still out, her shoulders tense. Ryan glanced at her arm. "You are hurt." She looked down at the cut. "It will heal." Arryn touched her sister's hand. "You fought well, but we cannot let anger lead us. The moon's energy is unstable. Every fight awakens the storm again." Mira pulled her hand away. "You speak of balance, but you forget what balance cost us. We lost our people because we trusted humans. We trusted calm words." Ryan stepped forward carefully. "Myra, I am not like those who came before. I did not know about your world. I came to learn." Mira's voice was sharp. "Learning will not bring them back." Arryn spoke softly. "No, but it may prevent new loss." The cold wind grew stronger, carrying the faint sound of distant thunder. Ryan looked up. The clouds above shimmered with pale light. "What is happening?" Arryn's expression grew serious. "The moon feels the energy again. The core beneath us stirs when there is conflict." Mira looked toward the horizon where a faint glow spread across the ice. "Then maybe the core needs to wake. Maybe it is time for Laura to rise again." Arryn shook her head. "If it rises now, it will destroy us all. The core needs harmony, not war." Ryan looked between them. "Can the core be controlled?" Arryn nodded slowly. "Yes, but only through balance. The bond between our kind must be restored. That is why the moon called you Ryan Hale." He frowned. "Me? Why me?" She met his eyes. "Because your presence brings change. The moon chose a human to bridge what was broken." Mira gave a bitter laugh. "A human to fix what humans destroyed. How poetic." Ryan stayed calm. "I did not destroy your world, Mira, but maybe I can help rebuild it." She turned away, her tail flicking in irritation. "You think too much like Arryn. Always hoping, always believing in light." Arryn looked at her sister sadly. "Hope is not weakness." Mira faced her. "And rage is not madness. Without it, we would still be frozen in that chamber." Ryan could feel the growing tension between them. He decided to focus on something practical. If the core reacts to conflict, we should study it before it becomes dangerous. My ship has instruments that can scan deep energy flows. Maybe I can connect my systems to your moon's network." Ren nodded. "That could work, but you must be careful. The moon's energy is alive. It does not trust machines." Mira crossed her arms. "Let him try. If it kills him, the moon will make its choice." Ryan smiled slightly. "Thanks for the confidence." The sisters followed him back to the shuttle. Inside, he activated the console and linked it to the frequency stabilizer. The display showed waves of energy moving through the moon like veins of light. One central pulse glowed brighter than the rest. Aaron pointed to it. That is the core, the heart of Lorenine. Ryan adjusted the signal strength. It looks unstable. These surges match the timing of the howls and the storm you mentioned. When the energy rises, the atmosphere reacts. Mira leaned over his shoulder. Can it be controlled? Maybe if I can match my stabilizer's frequency to the core, it might calm the surges. Aaron nodded approvingly. You understand the rhythm already. The moon's heartbeat flows with intention. You must feel it, not just read it. Ryan focused on the signal. The hum of the stabilizer filled the shuttle. Slowly, the energy pattern on the screen began to align. The chaotic lines became smooth, moving in a calm rhythm. For a moment, everything was still. Then a sudden burst of light filled the cabin. Ryan shielded his eyes. The stabilizer sparked, and the console went dark. The ground shook beneath them. Aaron shouted, "Disconnect it. The moon resists." Ryan pulled the power cable free. The light faded, and the shaking stopped. When he looked up, the sisters were standing close to him, their eyes glowing brighter than before. Aaron's voice was steady. You touched the core directly. It has seen you now. Mira frowned. What does that mean? Aaron looked thoughtful. It means he is part of the balance. The moon knows his presence. It will either trust him or test him. Ryan rubbed his eyes. That was not what I planned. Mira gave a small smirk. Nothing here goes as planned. They stepped outside to check the ground. The storm had stopped, but the air felt charged with energy. A faint glow ran through the ice, forming trails like veins beneath the surface. Arin knelt and placed her hand on the ice. The moon has awakened more. We must go to the old sanctum before the next surge. It lies beneath the northern ridge. Ryan nodded. We can use the shuttle to get there faster. Myra shook her head. The sanctum rejects machines. We go on foot. Ryan sighed, but agreed. He packed supplies and took a portable energy reader. The three of them began walking north across the frozen plain. The light under the ice followed them like a living path. As they moved, Aaron spoke softly. Do you hear it, Ryan? The hum under your feet. He listened. A low vibration traveled through the ground, matching the rhythm of a heartbeat. Yes, it feels alive. Aaron smiled faintly. That is the soul of Laura. Mira walked ahead, her posture tense. The soul may not be happy to see us. They reached a canyon where the ice walls rose high on both sides. The wind howled through the narrow passage, carrying faint whispers that sounded like voices. Ryan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. As they moved deeper, the glow beneath their feet grew brighter. Symbols appeared on the canyon walls, the same ones Ryan had seen in the chamber. Aaron traced them with her fingers. This was the path of the first Guardians. It remembers everything. Mira stopped suddenly and raised her head. We are not alone. Ryan scanned the area. I see nothing. She pointed toward a cluster of rocks. Something watches us. Shadow moved, and a figure stepped out. It was one of the broken ones from before, but this time he did not growl. He held out a small shard of glowing crystal. The core sent me, he said in a rough voice. It calls the Chosen Three. Aaron's eyes widened. Chosen Three. The canyon walls towered high above Ryan, Aaron, and Mira as they followed the glowing crystal shard. Its light pulsed gently, illuminating the frost-covered rocks and the faint carvings etched into the ice. The further they walked, the stronger the hum beneath their feet became. It was a low, steady vibration, like a heartbeat that seemed to synchronize with their own. Oren walked beside Ryan, her hand occasionally brushing the crystal to guide its light. The core lies deeper beneath the northern ridge, she said softly. It has not awakened in centuries. The moon kept it dormant to protect the world from the unrest of our kind. Ryan glanced at her. And now, it is waking because of the others we saw? Aaron nodded. The broken ones. Their anger, their rage, their pain disturbed the balance. Every heartbeat of conflict reaches the core. It pulses in response. Mira's ears twitched, and that pulse can destroy everything if it grows too strong. Ryan shivered, feeling the energy grow under his boots. We need to reach it quickly then. Canyon narrowed, forcing them to move single file. The wind whistled sharply through the narrow path, carrying with it a sound like distant echoes of laughter and cries. Myra's sharp gaze never left the shadows. These walls hold memories, she said. The spirits of the lost watch us, Aran nodded. Every guardian, every Laura-born who fell, their essence remains here. The core remembers them. It is why we must be cautious. One wrong step, one surge of anger, and it could overwhelm us all. Ryan felt a weight in his chest. The energy under the ice was not just power. It was memory, history, and something almost alive. How do we calm it once we reach the heart? Aran looked at him with a distant, sad expression. The core only responds to unity. It is balanced by trust and connection. The Moonborn must align their minds, their hearts, and their intentions. That is why it called you. You carry the human pulse that can resonate with it. But we must all act together, or it will reject us. Mira snorted softly. Trust is fragile. Too fragile for this place. I do not trust humans easily. Ryan stepped closer. I am not your enemy. I want to help, not hurt. She looked at him carefully, her glowing eyes studying him. Actions speak louder than words, human. If you survive the core, then your words mean something. The passage opened into a large cavern beneath the ridge. Ice walls arched high above, reflecting the light of the crystal shard and scattering it into 1,000 sparkling beams. At the center of the cavern lay the moon's core, a massive crystalline structure rising like a frozen tree. Its surface shimmered with blue and gold light, pulsating in a rhythm like a heartbeat. Ryan felt a shiver run through him. The energy radiating from it was unlike anything he had ever seen. It seemed to breathe, to live, to think. It's incredible, he whispered. Aran stepped closer, kneeling beside the base of the core. It is alive, Ryan. Not just power. It is memory, spirit, and the essence of our people. It watches all who approach. Myra's posture tensed. It will test us. It can sense our anger, our sorrow, our fear. Ryan looked from Myra to Aran. Then what do we do first? Aran held out her hands over the core. We align ourselves with it. Close your eyes, Ryan. Feel the rhythm. Let it speak to you. He hesitated for a moment, but followed her instructions. Closing his eyes, he felt a vibration beneath his feet. The pulse of the core seemed to reach into his chest, mingling with his heartbeat. His breath synchronized with the rhythm. Images flashed in his mind, frozen forests, humans and Laura living side by side, battles, and betrayal. Myra's voice echoed softly in his mind. Do not falter. The moon sees truth, not intention alone. Ryan focused on the pulse, letting the vibrations flow through him. Slowly, he felt the anger from the broken ones ease in his chest, their hatred blending with sadness and regret. The core responded, its glow growing steadier and brighter. Aran's eyes glimmered with approval. You feel it. The core accepts your presence. It acknowledges hope. Mira's ears twitched as she studied Ryan. Do not think it is easy. We still have a choice to make. One of us must merge with the core to stabilize it fully. Otherwise, the energy could erupt and destroy everything. Ryan's eyes snapped open. Merge, one of you? Aran nodded solemnly. Yes. It is a bond we Laura-born can form with the core. Only a guardian can synchronize completely and calm its energy. Mira's voice grew harsh. I will not be the one. Not after centuries of waiting, watching, and surviving. I will not give myself to the moon without purpose. Aran placed a hand gently on Mira's shoulder. I know, sister, but I will do it. It is my duty. I am the one who can maintain harmony. You must protect it while I merge. Mira's claws flexed, her eyes softening with pain and pride. You always sacrifice first, Aran. Ryan stepped forward. Wait, there has to be another way. Maybe I can help stabilize it with my technology. Aran shook her head. The moon's core is alive. Machines can assist, but they cannot merge. Only one who carries its lineage can complete the bond. Ryan swallowed. Then I will help you in every way I can. We can do this together. Mara nodded slowly. Then I will guard you, sister, and I will ensure that no harm comes to him. She looked at Ryan. Stay close. If anything goes wrong, I will protect you. Arin placed her hands on the crystalline surface of the core. She closed her eyes, letting the energy flow into her. The light of the core intensified, sending beams of gold and silver across the cavern. Ryan felt warmth and pressure wash over him. The pulse of the core synchronized with his heartbeat once more, but this time it was stronger. More commanding, Myra circled around them, eyes scanning the cavern. Shadows moved in the distant, small tremors in the ice, signs of instability. The core is reacting. It will not wait. Ryan adjusted the stabilizer, connecting it to the crystal shard. The device hummed in resonance with the core, amplifying its energy. He felt a strange connection forming, not just with the moon, but with Arin as well. The pulse of her heartbeat and the moon's rhythm intertwined with his own. A sudden surge shook the cavern. The ice walls rattled as energy shot up from the core. Mira barked sharply, deflecting a falling shard of ice with a swipe of her claws. Ryan held the stabilizer firmly, directing the energy outward. Feeling the vibrations pulse through his hands, Arin's voice rose above the roar of the core. Trust me. Feel the energy. Let it flow through you. Ryan did. He allowed himself to become part of the rhythm, letting the vibrations guide him. The light of the core stabilized slightly, its pulses slowing. Arin's form shimmered with silver light, almost merging into the crystalline structure. Mira's eyes widened. It is working, sister. You are becoming one with it. Arin's voice softened, almost a whisper. Yes, but I need more. Ryan, keep the energy calm. Focus on the rhythm. Ryan's hands shook, but he maintained control of the stabilizer. The core responded, its pulse now steady, harmonious. The light spread through the cavern, illuminating the carvings on the walls. Images of the Laura and humans living together glowed, showing the shared history Ryan had only glimpsed before. Mira stepped closer. The moon shows the truth. The bond we lost, the lives taken, it remembers everything. Ryan nodded. I see it. I understand why it called us here. A sudden tremor rocked the cavern. The core pulsed violently, and cracks appeared along the ice floor. Ryan struggled to keep the stabilizer steady. Mira lunged forward, extending her claws to steady him. Hold it. Do not let it break. Arin's voice rang clear and calm despite the surge. Focus on unity. Fear will destroy balance. Remember the bond we share. Ryan took a deep breath and let the rhythm guide him. His heartbeat, Arin's energy, and the core's pulse merged. Slowly, the violent surges began to subside. The light of the core softened into a steady, golden glow. Mira exhaled sharply. It is stabilizing. You did it, Ryan. Together we did it. Arin's silver form shimmered back to normal. She stepped away from the core, exhaustion visible in her posture. The bond is restored. The moon is calm again, but it will not remain so unless we maintain balance. Ryan lowered the stabilizer. Is it safe now? Arin nodded slowly. For now, but the energy is alive. It senses all emotion. Anger, jealousy, fear. They will awaken it again if left unchecked. Mira crossed her arms, her eyes softening as she looked at her sister. You saved it, Arin, and you allowed him to help. Perhaps there is hope for the balance yet. Arin smiled faintly. Hope, yes. But hope must be guided carefully. Ryan looked at both sisters. I am honored to be here. To witness this, to help. I will do everything I can to maintain it. Mira's gaze met his. Then you are part of the bond now. Remember that, human. It is not just the moon that watches you, but us as well. The cavern fell into calm silence. The light of the core bathed the walls, showing the carvings and history of the Laura. For the first time in centuries, harmony filled the heart of the moon. Ryan took a deep breath. We did it. The moon is safe for now. Orin looked at him and Mira. Yes, but the story's not over. The future depends on us, our choices, and the trust we build. We cannot falter again. Mira nodded. Then we prepare. Together we will face whatever comes next. The glow from the core continued to pulse softly, steady and alive, echoing through the cavern as a heartbeat of hope. The northern ridge glowed faintly in the early light of Lorinine. After the stabilization of the moon's core, the energy under the ice pulsed softly, like the steady heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Ryan, Aaron, and Mira emerged from the cavern, their footsteps leaving shallow impressions in the frost. For the first time, the landscape felt alive yet peaceful, as if the moon itself was breathing a calm sigh. Aaron turned to the sisters' old sanctum, now visible from the ridge above. The core responds to harmony, but the moon itself will watch us. We must remain vigilant. The broken ones may return, drawn by the energy we awakened. Myra's ears twitched. If they return, they will see the bond restored. Perhaps it will guide them instead of rage. Ryan adjusted his jacket against the cold. Do you think they can be helped? The others we saw in the canyon? Aaron's silver eyes reflected thoughtfulness. Some may, but not all. The moon offers a chance, but choice is theirs. They will need guidance, just as we needed guidance to calm the core. Mira looked at Ryan. Humans rarely understand patience. You will need more than hope to help them. Ryan nodded. I am ready to learn. The three of them began the slow descent toward the sanctum. The ice beneath their feet glimmered with faint veins of light, a path of energy connecting the ridge to the ancient structure. Carvings of wolf and human shapes ran along the walls, their forms now illuminated by the stabilized core. It was a silent reminder of the bond between species, that it existed long ago. As they approached the entrance, sudden chill swept through the air. Shadows moved at the edge of the light. Ryan tensed, placing a hand on his stabilizer. Do you see that? Aaron nodded. Yes, the broken ones sense the moon's energy. They are curious, testing if the harmony holds. 3 forms emerged from the darkness. The same orange-eyed creatures Ryan had seen earlier? This time, they did not growl or attack. Their eyes scanned the ridge, and for a moment they seemed uncertain. Mira stepped forward, her claws retracting slowly. Do you come to fight or to learn? The tall one, the leader, stepped closer. We followed the pulse. We heard the heartbeat of the core. It calls to all who remain. Aaron raised a hand. We have restored balance. The moon is calm, but it still watches. You can join if your hearts are willing to change. The leader hesitated, then glanced at his companions. Slowly, the orange glow in their eyes softened, shifting toward silver. They bowed their heads in acknowledgement. Ryan exhaled quietly. It worked. They accepted it. Myra's tail flicked. Acceptance is only the first step. They must learn restraint and trust. The moon will guide them, but they must choose their path. Orin placed her hand on the leader's shoulder. Then rise with us. Let the moon guide your steps, not anger. The leader nodded. We will try. Ryan smiled. This is incredible. We are witnessing a reconciliation of species. Aaron's silver eyes met his. Yes, but reconciliation requires effort. It does not end here. You must be patient, Ryan. The moon shows you not only to stabilize the core, but to witness, learn, and guide. Ryan's mind swirled with the weight of responsibility. I understand. I will do my best. Amira stepped beside him. Your best is enough, if your heart remains steady. The group entered the sanctum. Inside, the walls were etched with carvings depicting the history of the Laura and humans. Scenes of cooperation, shared knowledge, and conflict were intertwined. The light from the stabilized core outside spilled into the structure, illuminating every figure. Aaron approached the central dais. Here, we must perform the ceremony of renewal. It is not magical, but it binds intention, trust, and action. The moon watches. The broken ones gathered near the edges, their eyes still transitioning from orange to silver. Ryan stood beside Myra. Ern's hands hovered over the carvings on the floor, her palms glowing with the same silver light that had merged with the core. Focus on the bond, not on power, she instructed. Feel the pulse of the moon. Let it guide your hearts. Ryan closed his eyes, letting the vibrations beneath the ice travel through him. The heartbeat of the core synchronized with his pulse once more. He felt Arn's presence beside him, calm and steady. He felt Mira's vigilance behind him, protective and strong. And he felt the new arrivals, hesitant but willing to learn. Their energy tentative but genuine. The chamber filled with a low hum. The carvings glowed brighter, and the air vibrated with energy. The moon's heartbeat and the Laura's essence intertwined. Reaching out to every being in the sanctum, a sudden tremor shook the floor. One of the newcomers faltered, anger flickering briefly in his eyes. Mira stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. Trust the moon. Let go of rage. You are not alone. The figure's breathing slowed, and the orange tinge in his eyes faded further. Ryan realized that even anger and instinct could be guided with calm presence and steady energy. Arn's voice rose, filling the chamber. The bond is not just the core, it is us, together with the moon, with trust, with patience. Every heartbeat matters. Ryan felt a warmth spread through him, a connection he could not explain. The vibrations from the moon beneath the ice, the rhythm of his heartbeat, and the presence of the sisters all combined into a single harmonious flow. He opened his eyes and saw the carvings shining brightly. The newcomers standing straighter, their energy balanced. Mira's expression softened. They understand. The first step is done. They have chosen to rise with the moon, not against it. Arn nodded. It is only the beginning. But it is a beginning worth celebrating. The moon's light now shines on all of us. Ryan felt a surge of hope. The past, the pain, the separation, it can be healed. The broken ones stepped closer to the central dais. Their eyes were now fully silver, calm and steady. One of them reached out to touch the carvings, connecting with the energy of the moon. Another followed. The leader stood beside Arn, his gaze full of respect. Arn looked at Ryan. You have played a role here. Your presence allowed this harmony to form. The moon recognized the pulse of your heart, and it guided us together. Ryan smiled faintly. I only did what you taught me. I followed the rhythm. Mira gave a short nod. Sometimes following is enough. Sometimes the world needs someone willing to listen, not command. Arn stepped toward the core outside, extending her hands. The light from within bathed all of them in a warm glow. The moon is stable. The bond is renewed. But remember, balance is delicate. It will require guidance, patience, and courage to maintain. Ryan stepped beside her, looking out over the ridge. The valley below shimmered with the subtle glow of the moon's energy. The snow reflected light in patterns that danced across the ice. The atmosphere was calm yet alive. Myra stood on the edge, her gaze scanning the horizon. The broken ones will learn. Those who remain will follow the bond if we guide them. We cannot force harmony, but we can teach it. Ryan nodded. Then we continue. Together. Darn placed a hand on his shoulder. Yes, together. The moon's heart is alive, and it watches over all who choose the path of unity. Your pulse, human, is now part of that path. Ryan felt a deep sense of connection, not just to the Laura, but to something larger, something timeless. He realized that being part of this bond was more than discovery, it was responsibility, honor, and trust. Mira looked at the distant peaks, where faint shadows moved in the pale light. The future is uncertain. Challenges will come, but now we are ready. We have guidance, and we have choice, or in turn to face them all. And we have hope. Hope that the bond can endure. Hope that the moon's heart will not falter. Hope that unity can guide the world again. Ryan raised his hand toward the glowing sky. Then we begin the next chapter together. For the moon, for the Laura, and for the bond between species. The light from the core pulsed once, steady and strong, echoing across the valley. The soft howls of the wind carried a strange harmony, like voices singing in unison. The moon's heartbeat and the pulse of the Laura, human and moonborn alike, resonated together in a perfect rhythm. Myra turned to Ryan, a faint smile on her lips. Perhaps humans are not so bad after all. Ryan laughed softly. I'll take that as progress, Orin smiled gently. And perhaps, with patience and care, this bond will endure for generations. The moon has chosen wisely, and now so have we. The trio stood on the ridge, watching the glowing valley below. For the first time in centuries, Laurenine felt whole. Its heart beat steadily, alive with possibility, hope, and the promise of harmony. The moon's glow reflected off the ice, spreading across the frozen land like a blanket of light. The sisters, the human, and the reborn Lauraborn stood together. Ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring, the bond of Laura had been restored, and with it, the promise of a new era, and the moon howled softly in approval.